Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye, bye. This is a good one. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that I stay kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So, alleged Norteno rapper Rico Two Smooth from Broderick, right, has been shot again. Not once, but twice. This time, he was shot in the hand, and I'm going to tell you guys right now from the footage that I seen, that I laid my eyes on, his hand is mangled. It looked like they tried to use laser removal to take his tattoos off. It's pretty bad, right? It's a situation with Rico Two Smooth now where it seems as he's being hunted or he's being pinpointed or targeted because it seems like he's getting shot every other month. If you guys recall, several months back, he was sitting outside in, I believe, Sacramento, California at a restaurant with his family, and he was shot in the leg. Now, that was very unfortunate to see it go that route, especially when a man is with his family outside of his norm, outside of what he usually does. You know, back in the days, all bets were off when it came to people with their families. You used to see the opposition, the enemigo, and be like, all right, I'm going to give you a pass. It was called a pass. You're with your family, you're with your kids. You know, there's too many innocent bystanders, too many people that are not involved in that life to justify letting bullets rain out and innocent people being touched or hurt. And yes, it doesn't matter if a bullet hits a kid or a woman or a pedestrian or a civilian or anyone who's in the area. The fact remains that if you do anything that could cause post-traumatic, that can cause anguish towards that child or that woman, it's all bad. You're looked at as a poop butt. But nowadays, things have changed. Nowadays, there are no barriers to protect you. It's only truth and consequences. Your truth by being out there and the consequence for it, right? And it seems like Rico Two Smooth is being targeted. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say there's a certain group of people that are actually looking for him, but due to the music lyrics that he speaks on, due to him really being out there in the streets, and that's what I get of it, right? There's no doubt about it that Rico Two Smooth is a real one. He's really out there in the streets wiggling. He's really out there in San Jose all the time at Tiki Pete's, the bar, you know what I'm saying, doing shows and moving around the way he does. He's moving too smooth with a purpose. But at the same time, because the way he looks, because he is so easily identified and recognized, that's going to be a barrier that's going to hold him up. That's going to be, you know, the reason for people to recognize who he is. He's not hard to find, and he's definitely not hard to recognize. Okay. And he was recognized over the weekend where his car was shot up with numerous bullets. Somebody pulled up on him and let loose. Now, he was hit this time in the hand, just like he was hit the time before in the leg, and he was able to survive these wounds. But how many more times is this going to have to happen before the homie is not able to survive? This is when you have to make life decisions. This is when you recognize the homie being dedicated to the streets and being dedicated to the hood and being dedicated to the cause. You know, it's crazy when you see things like this happen because everybody's like, damn Rico. But he's just that close. Every Norteño, every Southsider, everybody is just that close from losing their life or losing their status or losing their being a good homie, right? Because just how that can go left, things can go right, or things can go right and it goes left. Now, in this case, Rico was shot at. There's a lot of people making a lot of assumptions on who did this. I do not know who did this. I don't know if it was Southsiders, if it was red on red, if it was just a regular dude, man, that felt some type of way, if there was some type of drama that happened. Usually 9 times out of 10, people are not just pulling out the cuete and just busting, you know, unless it's an opposition that already knows who you are and they already have bad intentions. They're getting off where they're mad at. That's what that's called. I remember back in our days, man, seeing enemies. And I can tell you a story about one time we were cruising, right? And I got a couple homeboys in the car with me. I'm not going to say their names. And we had a certain homeboy that we wouldn't allow to carry guns around us just because he tended to shoot first and ask questions later. And most of the time he shot first, he didn't need to, right? Now, being a gang member, you say to yourself, everybody's strapped up, everybody got it on them. It's better to have it than to get caught lacking. I understand that saying, but I'm one of the point A to point B type of dudes. Not cruising around, showing off the girls the gun, letting everyone know you got what you got, trying to prove something like you're hardcore because you got a gun on you, because a fucking poop butt can get a gun, right? That's not hard. But I'm a point A to point B, meaning, hey, if we got something to take care of, we're right here at point A, let's get there to point B. A to Z, right? That's it, period. Handle our business, dump it, and get the fuck on. But the homie that day had a little something on him that he wasn't supposed to have because I wouldn't have allowed him in the vehicle with it. And as we're cruising around, we hit a stoplight, right? At this particular time and place, there was a group that was in opposition of us. Like, we weren't actively out there looking for them, but they weren't hard to find, just like we weren't hard to find. And it was about the same time that we seen each other. And the homeboy just reached out and started doing his thing, right? Nobody was hit. Motherfuckers pulled off. We lived another day, Craig, right? But at the end of the day, I was upset. I was upset because, albeit the homeboy did what he felt he had to do, he went savage mode, right? And that's what gangbanging is all about, especially when you're a dedicated gang member. But at the same time, like, you're taking all our lives into account, man. You're putting us in a situation where we could all get locked up behind some bullshit that could have been avoided. And it wasn't even the right guys that we really wanted. It was the poop butt clan, right? The lower level dudes. It's like, bro, give them a pass. Let them go. They ain't shit. You ain't getting no clout. You're not getting no brownie points off them. So that just was what it was. But I understand the situation of being involved at a very high level and gangbanging and things happening, okay? Rico Two Smooth seems to be the target several times over. Now, this situation and what I seen with his hand, it looked like he was hit twice in the hand. His index finger right here looks like it was blown in half. His hand looks like he had several holes through it, you know, and that could only be one of these, right? The Heisman. Looks like he hit the Heisman on him. And there was also a video put out of his car, the vehicle he was in, and there were several bullet holes. So they pretty much lit him up. They tried to Tupac him, right? But this brother was able to live. That's twice. 3 strikes usually and you're out, man. You know, unless you're Shohei Ohtani, and then you just fucking hit a home run. But this guy right here, Rico Two Smooth, he's getting very lucky. And you don't tempt the hands of fate. You don't tempt the hands of God. It's God's plan, man. That shows me right now 2 things. 1, he has a bigger purpose in life. He's being saved to do bigger and better things. 2, he's just a lucky ass motherfucker, right? Because when you're out there wiggling out there and you're gangbanging and you're killing threes and you're letting people know that you're putting in work and you're doing this, motherfuckers is going to retaliate. They're coming back at you and they're coming back at you harder. So let's break it down. Twice shot in the last year. You know, I don't know about you, but I know about me when I was dedicated to the gang and everything. To me, that would have been a badge of honor. And I'm sure Rico Two Smooth feels the same way. But when I would go in the room by myself, I'd fuck, that shit hurt, right? Yeah, you would think twice. Because everyone has this certain mask, this face that they put on in front of their homeboys. This shit ain't nada, homie. You know what I'm saying? It went clean through, bro. You know what I'm saying? Too smooth, homie. It ain't shit. And then as soon as the homeboys leave, like, hey, you tell your old lady, are they gone, eh? Right? She's like, yeah, they look, the fucking shit hurts, man. I'm fucking, right? You know, hey, I know how it goes because I know how it goes, right? I've been shot a couple of times. So I know how it feels, right? But at the end of the day, it is a badge of honor in the gang lifestyle. People are going to be like, damn, the homeboy's bulletproof. John Gotti, Teflon Don, right? Everywhere he goes, motherfuckers just trying to get him, but he keeps skirting. Well, guess what? It doesn't work like that all the time. It's only a matter of time when you're tempting the hands of fate that fate wins. Fate's undefeated. Fate always wins. Fate is like the internet. Undisputed, right? Rico Two Smooth, I will say, man, is one of those guys that is out there. There's no denying it. You know, you see a lot of these gang members now on the internet, man, and they're wolfing, man. Oh, you be in the house. You're not out there on the streets. You're not really out there wiggling. I can tell you for a fact that Rico's wiggling. He's out there living his life. And that's how you got to live. Okay. But that right there comes with consequences. You got to understand when you're a gang member and you're living that life and you're representing something bigger than yourself and you're letting people know this is how I rock, this is what I rock for, this is who I rock with. Well, guess what? There's going to be people in direct opposition that want to end that. They don't want you to be a part of that no more. They feel like your existence disrespects them. And see, like I said, back in the 90s, back in the 80s, back in the days, when I was growing up as a youngster, there was rules and regulations to them streets. They weren't spoken on, but you just knew. Catch a motherfucker with his family, pass. Catch a motherfucker by himself, that's that ass, right? And that went all directions, but there were some, and I did a video on it, man, a long time ago. There were some that didn't care. They went into savage mode. They didn't care about the repercussions or even think about the repercussions of what could happen to them when they got incarcerated and who would question them and what kind of standings they would be in. Because see, back in them days, man, it was like a badge of honor to go out there and put in work for your neighborhood or put in work for your cause, right? It still is to a certain degree, but it's more so just to have your name out there. It's like individualism now. It's not about the body or the hood or representing that cause. It's more about representing yourself and being a shooter and a hitter and people knowing that you did that. See, back in our days, you covered up crime. You ran from the shit, right? You didn't want to get locked up. You didn't want no one to know you put in that work. Those that needed to know already knew what you were about, what type of individual you were and how you rocked. Everyone else didn't need to be involved and know because they weren't part of that system. They weren't part of that gang, that group, that gaggle, that collective. They weren't part of that, right? So there was no need to boast and brag and let everyone know, hey, I'm doing that. Shot at me. That was me. No, you didn't do that. They'd be like, hey, did you hear the fucking whoop-de-whoop got shot? Did he? Ben size fucked up, right? You turn around. You know what I mean? That's how it was. Nowadays, motherfucker walk into the party and everyone be like, hey, they're dancing and shit. Hey, did you hear about fucking Jaime got shot? Yeah, I did it, eh? Right? They're just telling on themselves. They're doing it. It's more aggressive and more open. And I think it's this social media era, and it's everybody wants to be somebody. You know, and if they can prove themselves, then so be it. There's people called targets. There's people that are trophies. And I believe within the North and South community, within all communities right now, gang related, Rico Two Smooth is one of those trophies because he's outspoken, because he's rapping about certain things, because, you know, he's really out there gangbanging. He's out there moving out there in them streets. So there are people that feel, and I don't, like I said, I don't know exactly the people who did it, whether it was Southsiders or other Northerners or anyone else, but somebody felt the need to squeeze off a few and let his hand pop. Okay, now you got a hand looking like Hamburger Helper. And it's fucking unfortunate that this man's leg is fucked up. Now his hand's fucked up. Hey, all it takes is a throat shot and rap career over. But there's going to be people that are paying attention to what's going on. And this could spark outrage. This could spark retaliation. This could spark a lot over someone out there moving a certain way. You know, this gang violence stuff, when I was young, I used to think it was cool as fuck. I used to be like, yeah, man, I used to be with the program and all that. And I understand those that are still doing it. No disrespect, man. I don't want you to feel disrespected by how I feel. This is my opinion. Okay. Your opinion is your opinion. And I understand because I once had that same opinion until I got shot, till I got beat up, till I got hit in the head with boards, till I got fucking stabbed, till I got fucking ragdolled, till I had to beat people up. Like all these different things and different elements of life I went through, you know, still wasn't enough for me to realize that it was all bad, you know, until I felt my people turn their back on me. Right. And then I had to get off where I was mad at and on my own gente. And it was just bad. It was a bad situation. Only then did I feel a certain way. Right. But it took a lot of hardship and beautiful struggle that I went through to realize, damn, this shit hurts, eh? Right. Rico's going through that beautiful struggle right now. And it's so unfortunate, man, because I can't see a good outcome from this. I could see retaliation. I could see fucking worse things happening in the area. And I could see Rico Two Smooth ultimately losing his life, man, over a thought, over an idealism, an ideal, right? Because that's what it ultimately comes down to. An idea that was formulated, plotted, and planned by certain individuals, man, and people just run with it. And in this era nowadays, man, everybody wants to be a shooter. Everybody wants to be go viral. So everybody's willing to do that. I mean, this back in the days, a homie would have got shot. There would have been no posting about it. It would have just been like, we're going to run that back. We're going to double back on him. Immediately, this shit is posted all over social media. You know, for those that didn't see it, and I want to give a big shout out to, I believe it's West Coast Gang Wars, right? That's where I got this information from as far as seeing their post. They posted it, man, and it was crazy. It was crazy. Let me look right here and see West Coast Gang Wars on Instagram, man. So make sure you guys tap in. But you got a lot of crazy shit going on over there. And they showed the car all shot up with Rico Two Smooth actually filming the car and showed his hand getting bandaged up by a doctor. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's pretty gruesome. You know, his finger, I don't know if he's going to go the 4 extra route and lose his fingers, but it was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Definitely pretty bad. You can see he was shot. So, I mean, this guy's escaping death. That's twice already. I don't know how long that's going to be. He's going to be able to fucking outlive or outrun whatever's coming for him. But enough should be enough. I know for the most people, it's an eye-waking experience, you know, especially to his family. I'm sure his family's going to be like, damn, how many times do you have to get put in this position to realize what's up? Very talented individual, Rico Two Smooth, one of the top Northern California rappers, period. That's facts, right? He got more of that old school vibe, that 90s vibe, the way he dresses, the way he acts, the way he carries himself. Intelligent individual, man, but it shows a lack of intelligence when you're out there riding around gangbanging. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he was throwing up gang signs. He could have easily been recognized, like I said, with the homeboy, man, right at a fucking stoplight and boop, 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 fools are getting off. Because he's identifiable. Why? Because he's a black Norteno. That's first and foremost. I'm going to say it if no one else will say it. He's a Norteno that's well known because he's in the rap scene, the way he wiggles, the circles he moves in, and because he's a brother, man, he's easily identifiable. So people see him, they're like, hey, that's that fool Rico Two Smooth. Let him have it. You know, it's crazy how this world is getting where gang members now, it doesn't matter who you're with, where you're at, none of that, they're getting off, period. Okay? You could have your children with you, and I've been in that position. I remember, man, I remember feeling helpless. I remember having my daughter in a stroller, man, and these motherfucking, the enemies of mine putting the strap out on my kid and me, right? And I just wanted to rip their fucking heart out. There was nothing I could do. I had to bow down. I did. For my child, I did, man. I had to just bow down, man. Just tell him, all right, all right. And I was mad. I was gritting my teeth. I wanted to get off where I was mad at, but you have to make, if I'm willing to make these certain sacrifices for the gang and for the body and for the hood and for the love of the homies, so the homies think I'm cool, I had to make that sacrifice for my child first and foremost. And I was just like, all right, I'll play the punk role for a minute here. I'm going to double back on you, but that's that, right? And with that quietly being spoken on and not too much said, it was what it was. But I'm saying that was an anomaly at that time. That was a certain situation where I'm looking at this dude like, you know, you're fucking up. You know, you're not supposed to be doing this. But their hatred for me and my neighborhood was more than the repercussions that were going to happen to them for this, right? And these guys that are shooting at Rico Two Smooth, right? If they're in direct opposition, if they're Southerners, Southsiders, then it just is what it is. That's part of the Northern California gang lifestyle right now. North and South, it's always been like that. The upstaters and the Northerners, man, they're going to catch each other slipping. They're going to catch each other slipping. It's gang banging. You want to be a gang member, you get gang member prizes. And the prizes that today, the grand prize is bullets in the hand, bullets in your car, bullets in your ass, right? That's the grand prize today. You know, there is no second or third place. Motherfuckers is going for the grand prize every time. Now, if this was a red on red situation, then this becomes something bigger. You know, but for people that sit there and say, oh, there's no more red on red, that red on red meaning Norteno versus Norteno. If this was the case, I highly doubt it was, because Rico Two Smooth is liked, very much liked in the Norteno community. But anything is possible. Alcohol, liquor, drugs, things lead up into violence, right? But whoever it was, it doesn't matter at this point. Let the cops do their investigation if that even happens. Rico Two Smooth was shot again. And he needs to really learn his lesson this time because, man, how many more times are you going to get away with the bullshit? Shot in the leg, shot in the hand. There's only one other place left to hit you. It's crazy, right? Anyways, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Do you think he needs to just calm down and relax a little bit and stick to the studio? Or does it really need to be out there wiggling, man, doing performances and getting caught lacking? Because that's ultimately what it was, man. Now, I don't know if there was retaliatory shooting or anything. That's none of my business. But he did get hit in the hand, man. It's unfortunate, man. And I hope he gets better so he can get back to the music. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people, man. This video is sponsored by Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're ever in the area, pull up to Lolly, man, and go get you something cold to drink. Also by Sticks and Stones Yard Service out there in Arizona, man. Google the homeboy, and if you're in his direct area, he'll pull up and handle that. This is the gun. Bang, bang. I hope Rico gets better, man.